Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful day in Milwaukee. It's Tuesday, July 30th. We're going to get rocking and rolling. So, got a couple things for you guys up front. We're going to lean into helping you understand resources, tools, and things that are available and accessible to you. Because I think right now in the middle of the summer, it's amazing to me how many times I've heard, like, I don't know what to do, or I don't know where to go. And I'm like, start somewhere. So we're going to help you understand what that looks like. The other thing is, I want to help you understand too is um, it's okay to feel a sense of uneasiness with change. Okay. And what I also want to tell you is more of your peers are feeling it than they ever want to actually let you know or let you in on because they're trying to put up a front. And my point to it is embrace change and the uneasiness, and you'll be fine. Right. And lean into the resources and the access to resources that are available to you. You'll be totally fine. And it's okay to say, you know what? I'm a little uneasy right now. It's a little uncertain right now. I don't really know how we're going to operate, and that's okay too. The challenge in it that I've experienced in many conversations with many agents is agents are looking for answers of exactly how it's going to play out. Guess what? You won't know until you try, and you're going to learn how to fail forward. And my point in saying that is don't be afraid to be vulnerable from the sense of being like, am I a little nervous? Do I understand how the market's going to change? No. Or do I understand how the market's going to change? No. Am I a little uneasy, uncertain? Of course. That's okay. Think back to like when you were a brand new agent the first time you went on your first listing appointment. Do you really think you knew what you were doing? Do you do your listing appointments the same way you did it the first time as you do the 200th time? No. You grow through that uneasiness to help you get to where you want to going. So, with that, I wanted to share with you a little lesson of the market at the moment. Okay. Last night, I had the opportunity where I had all four kids in our bed and my wife, a lot of us. Great time. Yeah. No dog. We don't have dogs. But we had all four kids and we were watching the Olympics on TV before bed. Okay. And one of the things that you'll understand, and you've kind of heard this through some of my Bucks lingo and some other things, is I love the art of competition. I love people competing. I love the process of what people go through to compete at the highest level. And so I love ingraining the Olympics in with my kids at a young age because they understand what competition is at a very basic level. Okay. And you view that, I think, at a very early age. For perspective, my kids are 7, 5, 2, and 1. You learn that at a very young age through the art of sport, through dance, through art, through whatever that might be, is learning the art of process. And learning the art of process is in order to compete or in order to complete something, a finish, using art as an example or using musical instruments as an example, is what you're actually trying, at least I'm just using my own family as an example, what you're actually trying to instill in them is learning the process, the art of process, how you develop a mindset. So I want to share with you an example that came up last night, and it was actually yesterday. But anybody here watch the Olympics yesterday? Okay. Yesterday they had the men's gymnastics final going on. Okay. I'll be honest, I don't think I watch men's gymnastics more than once every 4 years when it's on the Olympics. And so I started better understanding what the men's gymnastics final was. And men's gymnastics final is this. You have 5 participants who compete in 6 events, but in the 6 events, they only choose 3 of the 5 to participate in the event. Make sense? So at any given time, you have 2 people sitting out cheering their team on, while 3 people are participating in an event. All 3 participants scores matter to the team score. Okay. And then I started to learn and understand that the men's U.S. gymnastics team has not medaled in men's gymnastics since 2008, which is a gap of 16 years. Okay. It's been 16 years since the U.S. team had won an Olympic medal of any kind. So fast forward, the men's gymnastics team is in their very last event, their 6th of 6 events. Okay, they have 3 people participating in the pommel horse, and they have one guy who is picked to go last. And the one guy who was picked to go last had not participated in any of the other 5 events. The only reason he was on the team was to participate in pommel horse. He was the last participant to go on the team. Okay, 2 people went ahead of him. And what I want to share with you is the front side to the moment in terms of the sheer amount of pressure, because he knew in the moment the only thing he was in the Olympics for was that moment, and he had to deliver in that moment in order for the team to win a medal. And so I want to walk you through what that looks like.
Oh, very exciting. Very exciting. While he's getting that up, there are 2 rounds in this final, 2. And the first round that the team had gone through, no one nailed their routines. They had all fallen. They'd all fallen off their apparatus. They took a big step, whatnot. They had a lot to prove to begin with. And getting to this moment, everybody who competed nailed their routine. Like boom, 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 boom. So little context for 2.
Come share that with you, because what he shared in that moment was he understood he had to do his job. And he prepared his entire life for that one moment. In the very beginning, they talked about how they saw him as a young kid, as a 7-year-old on the pommel horse. He had moments that built to that, okay? And the reason why I share that with you is I think the art of competition and the process of competition and the dedication to what you need to do to be intentional and purposeful around competition and using the athletics as a platform is a great parallel to where we are in our industry today. And how you prepare for your moments, how you prepare for change, is so that when you do get your moment, you're ready to knock the moment out. And whether it's your first listing or your 600th listing, whether it's your first buyer presentation or your 50th buyer presentation, how you incrementally prepare for your moments is how you ultimately earn the opportunity to have a moment like he did last night. Okay? And I think that's really incredibly important to remember in a time like we are right now, is that whether you've been in this business for 1 day, 100 days, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it may be, is that we have to be better at preparing for our moments, because the moments and how we get into them are going to change because the rules of the game have changed. Does that make sense? So I leave that with you because I think the Olympics give a ton of storylines, a ton of lessons, a ton of things that we can take from them and draw parallels to our lives. And with that, I'm going to lay out training and education for you for the month of August. Okay. And in the month of August, we're being incredibly intentional with the resources that you have available to you in order to prepare for your moments. First, lots of negativity in this world, especially around our industry and what people perceive to be your value. And you heard on Mike Tirico's interview with Jason, he talked about leveraging positive momentum to do my job. And I share with you that to say, how do you leverage your positive momentum in order for you to do your job? How do you lean on your community? How do you lean on the teachings in order for you to create purpose? First, we have Ignite. Jen Strauka taught the other day. We have Janine McKenzie, Laura Brewster, Schroeder, and Emily Fair coming up to finish it out. We'll finish it up next week on August 8th. You want to learn how these guys are navigating the current market of the moment around what it is that they do at the highest level and the reasons why they're teaching it? Jump in. Whether you've been to 1 class, 10 classes, or all the classes, jump in and lean into those that are teaching Ignite. Next, we launched this last week. So, navigating the new normal. Last week we talked about this slightly, but we'll have a series of conversations with people local to the Milwaukee metro market. What conversations are they having? Every day from August 1st to August 16th, whether it's 15 minutes or 30 minutes, every day at 8:30, we'll be holding dialogues with producers of your peers across southeastern Wisconsin to help you hear and understand the objections they're getting and how they're overcoming them with their clients. Next, Jeff Nevin is also hosting every Monday and Thursday in the month of August, script practice, role play, and objection handling on Mondays and Thursdays from 11 to 11:30. Anything you need to know about Jeff, Most of you know Jeff really well. Jeff's in his office. He's script practice role playing. He puts his headset on and he goes to work. He's going to share some of those of how he's navigating those lead generations in order to be prepared for his moments. Next up, Thursday at 1 o'clock, the WRA and the MLS are hosting a combined meeting for all stakeholders and associates. It's statewide around what is happening with our associations, what's happening, hearing directly from our leadership. That's being hosted Thursday at 1. All of our leadership teams will be on there, and we'll be sure, if you aren't able to make it on Thursday at 1 via Zoom, that we will be able to bring the Cliff Notes back to you to help you understand what's going on from a macro standpoint within our industry and our associations. Next, many of you are very fond of Jeff and his content and deliverables, and I always call him a meat and potatoes content and delivery guy. This week, Friday, he is giving his listings on Post NAR on Friday at 10 a.m. We're going to continue to filter in some of the things that Jeff is offering to our communities, our KW communities, to help you again hear from resources that are available and accessible to you, help you navigate and prepare for your moment. August training calendar is take time to review. I know many of you get it in your emails. You look at it and you're like, yeah, all right, I'll just look at it each week, whatever. Prepare for your moments. Prepare for your moments. Like, it'll be very telling when people aren't prepared for their moments, and we're giving you every access to resources to help you navigate it. And to zoom in here within the first 2 weeks, you can see how we're trying to help you set up to win your day in order for you guys to be able to be prepared for your moment. Next, it's not average camp, it's mega camp. If you don't want to be average, jump into mega camp. It's the 12th to the 15th. We just had someone sign up last week on Friday, and he was all stoked to go because he's on a trajectory like this, and he wants to continue his trajectory like this despite what's going on in the industry. So Steve showed up. So mega camp is available to anybody. Next and last thing, and again, I set the stage in terms of preparation. Bold is coming back. Bold is coming back October 9th. This isn't our Bold kickoff, but there's a reason why we're helping you understand the dates and deadlines to Bold coming up. Is I understand one of the big hurdles to Bold is cost. So what we are going to do is help you spread the cost out over a period of time. So if you decide that you want to take Bold and be ready, it's coming. We will expose those that took Bold and the results they had, and we'll expose those not in a bad way. We'll create an anonymity to it. We'll expose those that didn't take Bold who had taken it in the past and the differences, because I'll tell you, I've already done the data. You're not going to like what you're going to hear. You can't afford to not take Bold. That's the truth, and the data tells us that. So a little exciting announcement as it relates to Bold. And I don't have permission to view the video. So here's what the video basically states. Is two things. One, we're going to make it easy for you. If you want to register for Bold, we will sign you up and then bill you back on your agent invoice over the next 3 months to help you break it up. The second thing is sitting here on July 30th, most people have made the most amount of income in the last 3 months. And so it's easier to make the investment into Bold that's coming up this fall. Now, when you conceivably would have the most amount of available access to funds, and we're going to help you break those payments up. 2 other things to know about Bold. One, everyone always wants to know, where is that? We're doing it at the War Memorial downtown, right off the highway on the lakefront, with plenty of access to fresh light and a great space. Cool. One, where we've hosted James Shaw, Jeff Glover, and everything else. 2, this will be my 10th Bold in Milwaukee. Okay. And I've worked 2 years to find an incredibly talented, badass woman to teach Bold, because we've never had a female Bold coach. And so I spent a ton of time researching Bold coaches, and we were incredibly fortunate for someone to raise their hand and say, yes, I'll come to Milwaukee and teach Bold, when they typically only teach Bold in the state of Florida. And so we have Amber Rutherford coming to teach Bold. Amber does over 100 units a year personally. She's the OP of the Naples, Florida, and Marco Island, Florida market centers, and she has 4 kids under 15. An incredible woman. I'm excited for her to come to Milwaukee. You'll get to know her the first, I think it's September 12th, the first team meeting after Labor Day, which is when we'll kick off Bold, but wanted to provide upfront an opportunity for people to spread out their payments if they decide they want to participate. And again, the data is incredibly damning in a positive way. It tells people that you can't afford to not fold. You do one deal, the incremental value of one deal more than you wouldn't have otherwise have done is an incremental 1,000% business in terms of it from an income standpoint. Lastly, in helping you prepare for your moment and thinking ahead in terms of the art of process and the art of competition, the KW Milwaukee Agent Hub on kwrealtymke.com is robust with resources. And I'm actually going to jump in there real quick. I realize I may not be signed in here. I'm going to show you something. I don't know the spell. AWREALTYMKE dot. This is not AW. Here's what I'm going to show you. Okay, the Agent Hub. Ooh. This is perfect. I got it. Yep, I'm signed in.
All right.
So we're in the Agent Hub. Okay. Going down to Office Resources, we have this whole thing called Articulating Your Value. And again, the whole theme of today is preparing for your moment or appreciating the process. You go into Articulating Your Value, you'll be taken to a Google Drive. The Google Drive in here takes you to every sort of thing that you could possibly imagine as it relates to scripts, dialogues, objection handlers, video resources, and the like. You want to go into video resources and understand both national in scope and local in scope in terms of watching a few videos with special guests around how they're navigating it. Boom, it's all in one place for you. Oh, you want the newest NAR settlement dialogues, responses, objection handlers that just came out from Jeff Glover? Oh, boom, it's all in one place for you. Let's see, what else? One other highlight for you. We broke down, Jeff did an entire presentation of the new buyer consultation along with the objection handlers. We transcribed the entire video so that you didn't have to watch it, all in one document, all under Articulating Your Value within the Agent Hub. And if you really want to watch the video, you can do so by just clicking through the link. Everything.
All right, let's go because it is time to jump into our summer webinar.
My point to it is anything that we have gotten our hands on to help you deal with this moment in order to help you prepare for your process, help you prepare for your moment, is all lives in one place for you, the Agent Hub under Articulating Your Value. Does that make sense?
And we're continually adding, like what you see there today, there's gonna be more stuff added.
So just wanted to highlight what that looks like for you and give you a few compliance updates because there's a few things changing.
Wait, can we hold on to compliance? Because one of the other updates that are opportunities that we have for y'all to learn is from our own people, right? So we asked Tina and Scott if they would share a little bit, and they just looked at each other like, oh gosh, I saw. Come on up, you guys. They also just got back from the Glover retreats, and these are two of the most learning-based people that I know of. And they're also two of the most successful in the field of real estate, right? So one of the things I think happens is that people learn and then they go do and then they forget they have to keep learning, right? We are in a learning environment right now. If you don't take advantage of those resources, if that's just edutainment for you, the next couple months are going to be hard. But I wanted to bring these guys up because I know they learned something. I know they have a perspective on learning. So I wanted to ask you both questions. First of all, you don't need to introduce yourself. Does everybody know Scott?
No.
No? Okay. Scott Claus. No. Scott,
Yeah.
what were your Glover takeaways?
Much time? Couple hours. Just kidding. Couple minutes. All right. So first of all, I love to take notes on my laptop, and I was challenged to actually write them in this book. And with the caveat of, Charlie's been to 10 bolts. I've been to 10. I've been to every mega camp, every family reunion, my whole top shelf, which most people can't reach, is full of stuff like this. I go to an event and it's like that come back and what happens, you don't necessarily do a ton of it, right? Well, he challenged me to say, if you put a star next to it, you're gonna do it right away. And you can only do up to 3. No less than 1, no more than 3. And I like that idea because I want to do like 15 minutes. And I do not. And there was a way though to circle up to 3 things that you would do by the end of the year. So as I was going through all of this, I had a bunch of notes and then I did a 1-page recap with my actual takeaways. So that helped me because I could do that on the plane. I just want to give you that because if you go to these events, I would highly encourage you to say, all right, what is the one thing I'm going to do that I'm actually going to do? And then what's one thing I can do by the end of the year? It's all about, my biggest takeaway was it's all about knowing what, and being okay with saying that you're a salesperson. I think a lot of realtors are like, raise your hand if you don't want to be a salesperson.
I know you're looking, I have heard that from people whose hands are down right now.
I've always had that mentality, and really like sales is just knowing what to say. And it's making people feel confident to make a great decision. And you can do that with the words. You can also make them feel uncomfortable with the words you speak. And Charlie was talking about moments. Nobody, no Olympian, no one, no athlete, no professional in anything just goes to an event, doesn't practice. It's just absurd to think about. But we go to a listing appointment without practicing what we're going to say. We go to a call without practicing what we're going to say. And so during one of the times, there was what will you say when someone calls you and wants to see a house? And you have to get a buyer agency signed before you show them the house. Has anyone thought about that? Because it's coming. It's not already here. So we wrote it out. We actually wrote it out. He didn't say read it. We all wrote it. We stood up. There's even a difference between reading it like this, because you're kind of down in your tone, versus reading it like this and you're smiling and you're happy. Like you can hear a smile over the phone. If you know what I mean. If I'm grumpy, one reason I would recommend watching the buyer presentation is because you can pick up on the tonality, you can pick up on the pauses, and that's all sales. That's really all sales means to me. And really the other thing that sales means to me is if I'm meeting with someone, I have a natural intuition of personality style. I can tell if you're a driver, if you're like people, if you're compliant, if you don't like change. I can pick up on it, and then I can also pick up on who's the decision maker. And sure, you can have that intuitively, or you can actually practice, and you can feel like, oh, what are the personality styles? How can I pick up on personality? Because I can ask you a question, tell me about your house, what updates have you done? And through that one question, I could pretty much know what personality you are. If you're really focused on it, right? So I just think we got to get out of this I don't want to be a salesperson mindset, and just realize like what sales actually means. It's understanding personality, it's knowing what you're going to say beforehand, and it's helping people make great decisions. Not decisions that are great for you, because that is sleazy sales. You can use that power for good or for bad, just like any power that you can create. So that's probably the biggest.
I love that mindset, tactics, scripts, all in, how long have you been in the business, Scott?
14 and a half years.
14 and a half years.
And I've never scripted or role played. I've never listed a FSBO. I've never listed an expired. I think that buyer presentation, which is free, he did it live in there, and I started writing things down that says that just made me feel good. Like future pacing. He says things like, would it make sense? I want to make sure we're on the same page. The reason why. And most of our buyers feel like just stuff that you pick up on if you're thinking about okay, you know, most of our buyers see between 6 to 8 houses before writing an offer. It's different than saying like, I'll only show you 5 offers, 5 houses, whatever. Like, it's just picking up on the professionalism of.
Do you have any NAR specific things that you should
From as far as NAR, like everything that he has updated, because he's not someone that says 10 years ago I sold a whole bunch of houses. He's in these conversations. So all of the dialogues and everything we practice was specifically around what to do in that moment. Because there's 2 situations we're gonna have. There's gonna be a situation where there's a buyer that we don't know is gonna want to see a house, whether it's a website lead or like Zillow or whatever you're doing, even a referral you don't know very well. And then there's the person you know well that wants to see a house. So 2 pretty different things to say, because you realize you're not going to be able to show a house without a signed agreement. Does everyone know that? Like the way it should have always been, we're going to actually be enforced. So if you're sitting here thinking, I'll figure that out when I'm on the phone with them, it's like, just practice on your pals and not your paycheck. And so Jeff Nevin's doing it 11 to 11:30. If you're scared or you don't know, just come and show up. Keep your screen black. Just have your name. You can, whatever your name wants to be, put in someone else's name. Just, yeah, I know. But no, I'm just saying, like, just this is the time to get rid of that thought of I'll just figure it out.
Thank you. I love it. Resources, right? Very tangible, an invitation to show up. And it's okay to not know anything, because if you keep showing up, that will change. And then third question I had for these guys was, how do you integrate the learning into your business, right? How do you not get overwhelmed? And Scott addressed that very well. Like pick 1 or 2, 3 things, just naturally, it's natural. 3 things that you're going to do immediately, and then keep track of the things that you want to integrate down the road. You're going to be hearing new things. And if you're anything like me, you're a squirrel and you want to do it all at once. That's a recipe for disaster. So step it out. Makes sense. There's a lot of learning. Makes sense with what your plan is. Prepare for your moment. Tina, also learning based, super successful, growing, super mega ultra successful, something along those lines. Growing her business, went to Glover, continues to invest in her learning and education. What were your takeaways?
Obviously, you know, Scott said a lot. I think the one we had Eric Thomas, who's a motivational speaker, excellent, like had a trajectory in life that was going one way and then changed it completely, which again is like the same place where we are now, right? Like we have an opportunity, right? Like we can even just fall into like, oh, this is gonna suck, the sky is falling, or we can use this as an opportunity to grow and be better, be more professional. So we talked a lot about like the traits of the greats, like the Michael Jordans, and like who did Michael Jordan didn't think he was like the best at it, and like continued to practice day after day. We know the story, but like what I thought was interesting, he took Michael Jordan to like the tools that were available to him, and he poured into them. So if we think at from like a realtor perspective, the tools that you have around you, our training calendar, like Glover U, all the stuff from WRA, all of those things, like making sure that like if you've never opened, like I told our chief class today, if you've never opened up an email before, like now's the time to like open them up and read them. Like we know we've deleted them. Who's deleted them in the past? Just anything, like you see something coming from any, and you know, the National Association of Realtors or WRA or even from leadership, right? Like you're just like, oh, happy.
Yesterday, hey, did you see that? Wait, what? Oh, no, I didn't.
Oh yeah, I deleted one from Diana.
True
True story.
We're
So,
still talking to each other, so
right.
read them
So
now.
read the emails, use the tools, and use your team around you. And your team, like we are your team, your fellow agents are your team, your fellow co-ropes are your team. Like get into relationship, like be nice to the co-rope on the other side, right? Like 'cause we're all navigating this together. And then just yourself, like believe in yourself. Like you guys are all here, like you're all very capable of doing this and navigating the change. And just know that you're like really supported by not only your leadership team, put all of this together. We're all in the same boat. So I think that was like just from a mindset perspective. Like obviously we know we have to learn the scripts and all the things, but like this was like, okay, we're good. We're good. We're in the right bus and we're going the right direction.
Do you guys have any questions for these guys on how they integrate their learning, especially? You're gonna get a lot of content in the next couple of weeks. If there's any question on how do I practice one thing, how do I answer my scripts, who do I do that, how do I get a scripting partner, any of that these guys might be able to help. What?
This. Like read it or? Yeah. So what am I going to crush? Because, you know, they double down on, if you look at your first half of the year and you have 3, 4, 5 sources, you want to sell more, the tendency could be, I want to get 4 more sources, or you could just double down on like what you're really good at. Our teams, what we're best at is our database, but I want to be, go back to being community expert, community celebrity in a sense. When I got into real estate, it was New Berlin Rotary, New Berlin Chamber, New Berlin, moving New Berlin forward, New Berlin Citizens Academy, coaching in New Berlin, announcing the varsity games. Like you couldn't go anywhere in New Berlin without seeing me. Funny, doing like more videos. And so then there was the Unreal Life formula that they did. And so I made a note as one of my things is to do that, because there's a specific way to do it to make sure like, hey, this is how I can live my unreal life and what it means to me. There's a business building course they're doing that I'm going to take. And so I said sales skills as an organization. If they don't like it, they cannot be on the team. We just had our team advance right before this. That's why no one's here. So, but I actually, for the first time, we wrote down, we chanted, we actually implemented this. One of the coaches did a presentation on the Unreal Life, and he was very vulnerable. And he said that his daughter's 17, and he was like, "Dad, I just, you know," and that was just, oh my God. But he took her to a JH ranch. It's a week-long ranch session that they have to be 13 to do. So I can't do that now because my daughter turned 11 yesterday. But when they turn 13, I would take each of them one-on-one to this ranch, and it's just a super amazing full story. We have to update our buyer brochure and our listing brochure because we just have to. So we have to be on that. And then this is a question for you. So if the NAR changes, what do you think 2 of the main lead sources to focus on would be for you in terms of what would that could change? Not even the best 2, but 2 that like, wow, I should really focus on these because I bet it's going to be different. Oh, why open houses? There's going to be so many more unrepresented buyers at opens. And so one thing is, I'm very good at opens. I did 89 of them my first year. That's how I built my whole business. I could do opens because buyers are going to not be represented. I don't need to pay commission. If you know what to say, you can help convert them. And then another one. For sale by owners. And the reason for sale by owners is because a lot of reasons for sale by owners list is to get their to be able to say what they'll offer at Go Broke, and they won't be able to anymore. So they won't really have that like quote unquote discount or that flat fee type option. It won't really do them much good. So they're either gonna have to be a FSBO or they're gonna have to go with a realtor. So there's gonna be more of them, and there's gonna be more value to us. Does that make sense? And then the last thing I'll say, there's a couple more, but like there's a buyer power checklist he has during your buyer presentation, and you sit with them before they're all emotional about it and they're all like excited, like, hey, I love this house, I need this house, what do I do? Wrong time to have that conversation. That makes sense? So in the buyer consult, he has a checklist of here's the things that you can do that we've done that's shown that works. And you can read them off and like, what do you think you would be comfortable with? it could be weeks before they even write an offer, but you're having that conversation of, this is what it might take to get the house. So those were amazing. And then, one thing I'm doing with our team is gonna have them present one-on-one to me, like and speaking of team, I bet if someone went up to Kathleen or others and said, hey, can I record my presentation? Can you review it? Can you watch this? Like, we would be here to help. James would, I would, Tina would, Charlie would, anyone would do that. If you're really committed to being like, hey, I wanna get this dialed, like we are a team.
Thank you guys for pouring in. Obviously, I just everything that Scott said, we're here to support you. Tina teaches on Tuesday mornings. You can always dial into that. We're here. We get the benefit of having really top agents on our leadership team and who are always here to support us. So you have the whole package here, and I'm excited about you guys growing through this. So thank you. Really appreciate it. We're gonna dive into into compliance with James Krickenberg while our very own Defender Don is out enjoying a few moments. And while these guys are coming up, I did two things. The guy who did Pummel that we saw the video of, he had an interesting journey, right? The reason he's a specialist in Pummel horse is because he was really bad at everything else, right? He could not score at anything else. And instead of letting that defeat him, this goes to mindset, right? Instead of saying, I can't do this, he found his niche and he shines in it. If you guys want mindset stuff, here's another, the Japanese and American women basketball players. American basketball players, Chinese Japanese basketball players. 30-point difference at the end of the game. And the Japanese were ecstatic because they played fast, they kept the women back on their heels, and they pushed that team to succeed, even though they didn't win. The women's skateboarders, or if you want to watch the skateboarding finals, same thing. You get 5 scores, 3 don't count, dial down, dive into what makes sense for you, what can you deliver, what can you bring, and you get a score for that. So you watch these women, they're falling all over the place. It looks really painful. I don't know how you do it. But they do it. It's a great example of mindset. You don't have to knock everything out of the park. Figure out what your 1 or 2 things are that you can do really, really well. Get training on them, dive in, nurture your skills, and knock it out of the park. And you got this. With that, this is how you do that.
So I think I'm the pommel horse guy because he only brought me up here for one thing and got my glasses for it, I guess. So there we go.
You look very similar, just the physique might be.
I'm an average looking white guy. There's like 10 million people that look like me.
All right, so Metro MLS updates.
Yep. We talked about this last week, right?
Yeah, I'll jump into this because I did have a conversation with the Metro MLS. So you guys know commission fields are going away in MLS, right? No surprise there. They're going away effective August 14th. Okay. However, seller concessions fields will now be active August 14th. As a follow-up from last week's conversation, I called over to the MLS and asked a clarifying question from a technicality standpoint. Okay, you have a listing that is not impending or has not closed that is still active on the market on August 14th. Should we play a trivia game?
Yeah.
You guys like games, right? Now, raise your hand A if you think that you're going to need to touch the active listing if your seller wishes to continue to offer a co-broke compensation. Raise your hand yes. Without it, yep. Now, raise your hand B if you think the Metro MLS will automatically convert what a co-broke compensation field would be on August 14th and convert it automatically to a seller concession, and that you won't have to touch your listings in the MLS. Raise your hand. No, you guys are too smart for that. So, you have to edit them. 100%. So, and legally they're different things. But it was an important technicality to make sure that we did not overlook that date to ensure that you're touching your listings on August 14th.
All right. along with Jared from MLS, Tracy is gonna be here at the team meeting on Tuesday, August 6th. Do you want to come to that?
So Jared, and Tracy will be there. If you have questions in advance for them, so that we can help them prep for how to get the most accurate information out of them, feel free to send them to anybody on leadership. We will also have them at the North Shore Tosa Lake Country meeting at 9 a.m. the morning before. So I'll be able to vet them too in advance of the noon meeting, which is always kind of the nice part about doing a noon meeting, is we can kind of flush out some things in order to get, but both of these guys will be on next week, Tuesday at noon.
Then we got next, or first week of August, and then actually through August, we can talk about, we have a number of training opportunities. So take a look, join in on what you can go to. And then this is a little bit, the forms, did I update that? I messed that up. So we have those new forms out. They go into effect August 15th is the mandatory use date, but you can use them now. They are in zip forms now. Okay, so take a look at that. The one thing I don't want to get anything complicated. The one thing that I see as an issue right now before the 14th is there is that spot on the new offer for the seller to pay the buyer broker compensation. If you already have an offer of compensation in MLS, probably don't have that also in the offer. I have a feeling that there's going to be agents out there that even though the property is in MLS with a 2.4% co-broke, they're going to write in the offer that the seller is to pay a 2.4% commission. And I don't want anyone to get into a situation where their seller is basically paying both. So if you see that, I'd probably go back to that agent, reassure them, we have an actual offer of compensation, you will get paid, here it is to you in writing, we're going to remove that from the offer, and if they want it in the offer, I'd probably have them, give you something in writing that says they know they're not going to be compensated through the MLS offer of compensation.
Continue.
What's that? Yeah, it'll change as soon as the 14th hits and those offers of compensation are not displayed anymore, but just for now. Continuing education is coming up. There's we'll get to it on the next slide. There's going to be some options to go and do it through the WRA. Don't wait until December 14th when it's due, like I do. And then you have to try to do it all in like 2 hours, and it's really stressful that way. If you do it in July, it's a little bit easier. So you can go right to the WRA website. They have the continuing education link right on there. You can buy the bundle. So you can remember, you get a nice discount. We'll go to the next one. And then, once it opens up in the fall, then you'll renew your license and send in what you need to send in. So just hold on to it, stay tight until then, or hold tight until then. You don't have to be overwhelming Sarah and Dawn with like right away.
Cool.
I think that's it.
Guys,
Maybe I'll see you guys. I'm seeing it.
Justice James. Yes, Robbie, you had a question?
So what for listings that are contingent? That is still in there.
Yep.
It's like, it's
No.
contingent because we're still actively marketing. It's-
But you're contractually under an agreement of compensation.
But would we have, can we, because we have to go and edit those.
You don't, listings that are in contingent status, you won't need to edit unless it comes out of contingency because it doesn't get to closing. The reason why the fields are important is it's simply, I would say, a marketing mechanism for how concessions are being offered, but contingencies you're in contract, so it's not as important from a mechanism of marketing. Make sense?
Just wanted to clarify.
Perfect. Yes. What else? Kind of open forum. Anything else? No? Okay. You have an incredibly productive group of peers that you can lean on during moments like this one of change. And how you prepare yourself for the moment is how you will take advantage of when the moment arises. Cool? We'll be here. We'll continue to gather resources for you. We'll get best tips, tricks, best practices, and we'll help you navigate where we're headed next. Sound good? And if you have questions, let any of us in leadership know. We're here to serve you. Thanks, guys.
And what new listings do you have coming?
I just had to go live with 4-bedroom real. House. 324 nights. 38 West Mall.
Yeah, Milwaukee. Alex?
I have a lakefront home in Packwaukee. Hello. Market soon. It's got 75 feet of frontage on a lake, a little ranch. Just in one bath, a little over 1,000 square feet with a 2-car attached garage. Quarter acre. Right around 200 probably.
Is it live?
This is a full.
Nobody.
Don't talk.
Wow,
Just like.
How's the lake? What
It's terrible, it's very weedy.
I believe it's Blue Lake makes sense. I can't remember it in the lake, but it's a lake and then there's like a big river. It looks like a big river versus a lake that where they're at. I think it's Florida, but I don't know if it is.
or not? Catherine?
Condo in Hartford, 2-bedroom, 274, 70,000. It's not a 55 plus condo, but it does have an elevator. That area, we do have quite a few 55 plus condos. Condo, like,
We have two in the way right now. One is 5 plus condo in Oconomowoc, zero transition. One live on Thursday. 2049. Only 2,000. Johnson Creek, we have a really nice house. Street, it's bedroom, 2 bath. So I was just putting that in to. There's 349. That was correct.
Correction, Buffalo Lake.
All right. Nicole Masaki.
I mean, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, upper condo in Franklin with a 2-car garage.
Nice. Nice. All right, you guys, get to it. Love it. You are released to the wilds. Do your learning, do your mindset stuff. Watch that American Japanese game. It's really good. Watch the skateboarding. If you haven't seen the women's rugby crushes, men's ruggy is amazing.